Cell life with Max Axiom, super scientist.
Section 1, Building Blocks of Life. Super scientist Max Axiom heads to an ocean marina to investigate cells.
Cool boat, Uncle Max. What's our mission?
We're going to collect plankton samples for Dr. Dinson. She's a cell biologist.
What's a cell biologist?
A scientist who studies cells. Hey Nick, help me lower the plankton net.
What do plankton have to do with cells?
Every living thing on Earth is made of cells. Most plankton are made of just one cell.
That's just clear water.
Cells are tiny, Nick. We need a microscope to see them. Let's look at our sample under the microscope. Some plankton are made of many cells, just like we are. Here's one that's a single cell. There are two main kinds of cells, prokaryotic, like bacteria, and eukaryotic, like plants and animals. Both cells have DNA. The DNA floats freely inside prokaryotic cells. In eukaryotic cells, DNA is contained inside the nucleus. Eukaryotic cells also have organelles that do specific jobs in the cell.
Definition: DNA, the genetic material that carries all the instructions to make a living thing and keep it working.
Do bigger animals have bigger cells?
Nope, just a lot more of them. The human body is made up of 50 to 60 trillion cells.
Forget cells. Look at that.
I can't forget cells. That sunfish started life as one cell. Then it grew more and more cells to become an ocean giant.
Earth 3.5 billion years ago.
The earliest creatures on Earth were probably prokaryotic cells. Scientists believe all living things evolved from these simple cells. Understanding how cells work helps us understanding life. Let's get down to their level and check it out.
Section 2. Cell metabolism.
Cells use energy from the sun or from food to make proteins that plants and animals need. This process is called cell metabolism. Let's see how it works in this animal cell. This glucose molecule is like food for the cell. First, the molecule goes through the outer layer that protects the cell. This layer is called the cell membrane. Then the glucose heads to the nearest mitochondria. Plant and animal cells are packed with mitochondria. These organelles are like power plants for the cell. The mitochondrion turns glucose into a molecule called ATP. ATP provides energy that the cell uses for power to make proteins. The mitochondria and other organelles are surrounded by cytoplasm. This gel is mostly water, but there are lots of proteins here too. Proteins are made in the endoplasmic reticulum. And the Golgi apparatus moves proteins around the cell. This large organelle is the nucleus. It is the control center of the cell. The nucleus gives directions to the rest of the cell. Let's climb through the nuclear membrane to look at some DNA. DNA is made up of genes. Each gene stores the instructions for building proteins. Some proteins are used to build structures like hair and muscle. Other proteins cause chemical reactions like digestion. When your body needs a certain protein, cells jump into action. It all begins with a process called transcription. First, a nuclear protein grabs the gene, or instructions, for the new protein. Like a copy machine, the nuclear protein makes a copy of the gene. The copy is called mRNA. It has all the instructions for the new protein. But first, we need to get out of here. The actual work of building proteins takes place outside the nucleus. Once it leaves the nucleus, the mRNA heads for the endoplasmic reticulum. This organelle holds thousands of protein-making factories called ribosomes. The mRNA goes into a ribosome and tells it how to build the protein the body needs. Proteins are made of amino acids, which come from digested food. The ribosomes string amino acids together like beads in a necklace. The finished necklace is a new protein. This process is called translation. When the new protein comes out of the ribosome, it folds up. Then it is ready to do its job. Microtubules are like subway systems. This one will take the protein where it needs to go. Animal cells are cool, but let's check out plant cells too. Unlike animal cells, Plant cells have a tough cell walls made of a carbohydrate called cellulose. Stack enough plant cells together, and you get a tree. Cellulose gives wood its strength. Plant cells also have openings connecting one cell to another. This is how water moves from the roots to the leaves. It's also how nutrients are carried to every part of the plant. A current of cytoplasm flows through the opening. Let's ride along. Like animal cells, plant cells have mitochondria to produce energy and ribosomes to make proteins. And, of course, each cell has a nucleus to run the whole show. But unlike animal cells, plants make their own food. This is chloroplast. You're not going to believe what this organelle can do. Chloroplasts use carbon dioxide and light to make glucose. This process is called photosynthesis.
Section 3, Cell Division.
Some scientists think organelles were originally bacteria that learned to live inside other cells.
Cool. Like alien invaders.
Another amazing thing about cells is the way they reproduce. Look over there.
Whoa. More alien invaders.
Nope, just plankton. It's a plankton bloom. When ocean conditions are right, plankton cells reproduce so fast that blooms can be seen from space. In a plankton bloom, one drop of water can contain millions of cells.
There's one splitting in half.
Cells reproduce by dividing. It's a tricky job. Cell division, going from one cell to two, takes 6 main steps. Most of the action happens in the nucleus, where the DNA is copied and divided. Scientists call that part mitosis. The cell spends most of its time in interphase, working hard and making proteins. Each one of these strands is a separate piece of DNA called a chromosome. Before cell division begins, each chromosome makes a copy of itself. During prophase, the DNA squeezes together. The chromosome and its copy are held together in the middle like an X. During metaphase, the chromosomes line up in the middle of the nucleus. Microtubules connect the chromosomes to organelles at either end of the cell. The microtubules pull the pairs of chromosomes apart during anaphase. One copy goes to each end of the cell. In telophase, new nuclear membranes form around the separated DNA. That's the end of mitosis. Finally, the cell membrane itself pinches in two. This is called cytokinesis. I need to get out of here, fast.
How fast can cells divide?
Some bacteria cells divide every 20 minutes. Other cells divide only one every few days of weeks. In plants and animals, cell division repairs injury. And that baby sea lion will grow into an adult through cell division too. Don't forget, every plant and animal starts as a single cell. These first cells are called stem cells. The human body is made of more than 200 types of cells. In a growing animal, stem cells can become any type of cell during the first few cell divisions. While Nick delivers those plankton samples to Dr. Deinson, let's look more closely at different types of cells.
Stem cells in medicine. Scientists think that stem cells may be the answer to curing many diseases such as Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Doctors may be able to use stem cells to replace old cells damaged by injury or disease. Bone marrow transplants are a form of stem cell therapy used to treat cancers like leukemia and lymphoma. Section 4, Many cells, many jobs.
Cells divide constantly on the inside surface of your skin. The new cells travel to the outside surface and produce keratin, a protein that makes the skin waterproof. On the surface, dead skin cells act like tiny plates of armor protecting us from infection. The human body has more than 650 different muscles. Each one is made of thousands of muscle cells. Each muscle cell is packed with two kinds of long, skinny proteins: myosin protein and actin protein. When you flex your muscle, the myosin proteins pull actin proteins together. Whoa. When muscles contract, they really mean business. As the proteins slide together, the muscles get shorter and thicker. Flying that kite takes the hard work of thousands of muscle cells. Of course, everything we do from flexing muscles to reading books depends on the brain. Specialized cells called neurons do the thinking. The brain has billions of neurons. They form a huge web of cells called a neural network.
Neurons operate our senses and tell our muscles what to do by passing messages through the neural network.
Signals travel from one dendrite down the axon, before jumping to the next dendrite.
Exercise for your brain is just as important as physical exercise. Working your brain helps connections grow between neurons. Typically, neurons don't divide once children stop growing. Damage to neurons from injury or drugs use is usually permanent. Plants have specialized cells too. Leaf cells are packed with chloroplasts for photosynthesis. In the stem, extra tough cells support the plant. Some cells form a system of pipes to carry water through the plant. Other cells carry sugars back and forth. Root cells divide rapidly and branch out to search for water. Cells are amazing. They come in all shapes and sizes. They truly are the building blocks of life.